Uh, Good afternoon. This is the last lecture of this series of lectures on industrial application of radioisotopes and radiation technology. In last lectures, the last lectures was on seal source applications in industry, and I told you that the seal source applications are generally divided into 5 different categories. First category was the radiometry or densitometry applications, and the radiography applications. Third was the tomography, and fourth was nucleonic cages in industry, and fifth was radiation processing application. So 4 techniques I had already discussed in my last lectures. In these lectures, I will be discussing the application of radioisotope and radiation technology for processing of the materials. So let us discuss what is radiation processing. Radiation processing, which is also known as irradiation of materials. It is a treatment of materials and products with ionizing radiation to alter their physical, chemical, and biological properties and enhance their usefulness and also reduce their impact on the environment is called the radiation processing. So in radiation processing, we irradiate the various materials, various products to enhance their property, useful property, and then use them for various applications. This is called the radiation processing applications. Now, the obvious question is that what are the radiation sources used for the radiation processing? There are radioisotope based sources as well as the machine based sources used for the radiation processing application. Gamma radiations from cobalt 60 and cesium 137 sources are used for the radiation processing application. And I told you that these cobalt 60 and cesium 137, they are the sealed sources, and they are in the form of rods, in the form of some pellets, in the form of some wire, or in the form of some cylinder, or in the form of some array of the sources, or a grid sources, a planar sources. So cobalt 60 and cesium 137 sources are used for the radiation processing. Mainly these two sources are used. Cobalt 60 has half-life of 5.2 years and it emits 2 gamma radiations of 1.17 MeV energy and 1.33 MeV energy, both 100% abundant. Cesium 37 is also a very useful source for radiation processing. Its advantage is that it's long half-life and it can be used for a very long time. If you procure a source for radiation processing, that can be used for a long time. But while the cobalt 60 has a half-life of 5.27 years, it needs to be replenished regularly after 5 years or maybe 10 years. Now, the second category of sources which are used in the radiation processing are the electron beams. And the electron beams has energy of the order of 10 MeV. Electron beams more than 10 MeV are not used for the radiation processing application. It is only up to 10 MeV electron beams are used for radiation processing. And the power of this electron beam machine is they vary from 10 kilowatt to 200 kilowatts. So you can see that very high power machines with a high energy of electron beams are also used for radiation processing. And you can see that here, the main disadvantage of these electron beams is that they have a very limited penetrating power. So a material of very small thickness only can be irradiated. But in case of gamma radiations can penetrate over a large depth inside the products. So they can be used for processing of the bigger or larger or bulk products. Now, another source of application is X-rays. Actually, these electron beams machines, they can be operated either in electron beam mode or they can be irradiated in a X-ray mode. So when a high energy electrons are bombarded on a converter, let us say a tungsten, then the X-rays are emitted. X-ray, they are nothing but the Bremsstrahlung radiations, and those Bremsstrahlung radiations are nothing but they are also electromagnetic radiations like gamma rays, and they have a larger penetrating power and can be utilized for the processing of the materials in industry or in radiation processing application. Now, you see, before I go in the details, let us discuss the advantages of radiation processing. There are the other conventional methods of radiation processing like chemical treatment, heat treatment, and many other conventional techniques are also there for the processing of materials. But radiation processing has some distinct advantages. So the advantages are there the product is not contaminated. There is no contamination of the product. The process is carried out at room temperature. So it is a cold process only. The throughputs which are processed are very high. They are larger throughputs. It is a clean and environmental friendly technology. And the energy absorption in radiation processing application is very efficient. And this radiation processing process can be controlled very easily. So these are the advantages of radiation processing over conventional techniques of processing of the material. Now, as I told you that there are two sources are used for in processing application. In my previous slide, I showed you that gamma radiation from cobalt-60 and cesium-137, as well as the electrons and X-rays from electron beams are used for the radiation processing. Now, this electron beam processing, they have some advantages over gamma radiation processing technique. They are listed here. The first advantage of EB processing is high dose delivery in short time, thus very high throughputs can be processed. In a very, very small time, a very high dose can be delivered to the materials, and because of this, large volumes, large throughputs of the material can be processed. It has a variable energy. Electron can be, the energy of the electron can vary from 1 MeV to 10 MeV. Maybe we have the electron beams of 1 MeV, 2 MeV, 3 MeV, 5 MeV, and 10 MeV or 6 MeV. So variable energies are available. While in case of a radioisotope source, we have the fixed energy, like from the cobalt-60 source, only two gammas, one of 1.17 and other 1.133 MeV are only produced. So you can consider them that they are almost a monoenergetic sources. But here, in case of electron beam, I can produce the electrons of any energy or the X-ray beams of any energy. They are the switch on and switch type of radiation sources. Actually, when a radioisotope source is continuously emitting the radiation, so you cannot stop it. So it is a continuous emission of, and when the source is not being used for the processing, you have to keep it in a shielded containers. And basically in radiation processing plants, it is a water pool where these sources are stored, or where these sources are shielded, so that outside the radiation field is almost negligible. But in case of electron beam, these are the switch on or switch off type of radiation. So whenever I want to use the electron beam or X-ray, I can just switch it on, like you switch on your fan or light. Same way, I can just switch on a electron beam isolator and use it for the different applications. It is a more cost-effective way of dose delivery. Dose delivery is very effective. A dose can be delivered in a very efficient manner, while in case of radioisotope sources, it is not so. It is more efficient and flexible movement of products. It is also very efficient as well as the flexible. But in case of radioisotope sources, the sources are basically the stationary. But in case of an electron beam, I can rotate the horn, or I can have an arrangement wherever which part of the product I want to direct the beam. That is possible in case of the electron beams. But in case of gamma irradiators, it is not so. No issues with security and transportation of the disposal. You see, radiation sources, there is always a fear that somebody may steal the source, or source has to be always secured, because it is always emitting the gamma radiation. But in case of the electron beam, there are not any security or transportation and disposal issue. Disposal means when a gamma radiation spends its useful life, then it has to be disposed. It becomes a waste, and that radiation source has to be disposed of. But in case of electron beam, it is not so. There is no risk of proliferation, means nobody can steal the source. It is not possible. But in case of a radiation source, there is always fear or apprehension about the security of the radiation sources. There are less oxidative degradation of polymer in case of electron beam, and electron beam has the ability to hook up the online industrial process. They can be used in any sort of industrial processes. But they have some disadvantages also. The main disadvantage is they have capital intensive. Although gamma radiation plants are also capital intensive, they are also energy intensive. A lot of power goes in their operation, and it is a complex technology. It is not simple to operate them or to maintain them. While in case of the gamma radiation plants, the maintenance and it is not that complex technology, and it needs this electron beams always require the very frequent maintenance. So these are the advantages of the gamma processing and the electron beam processing techniques. Now you can see here, this is a gamma irradiation plant here. You can see this is a shielding, and you can see this in the middle of this chamber, there is a source frame is there. This red color is a source frame, and when the plant is not in operation, there is a water pool below. So this source can be mechanically driven to be stored in that water pool, and it remains under the shielding, and there is no exposure outside. But when the material is to be processed, this material is packed in a suitable containers, and it is fed through a conveyor belt, and it goes like this, like this, like this, like this, like this. And the source, before we start the conveyor, the source is brought up from the water pool actually. And then this material boxes, they move like this, they move like this, they move like this, and they come out. And again, if they want to be irradiated for more time, there will be again, uh, you can recirculate them. You can they can be irradiated, and they can be irradiated not only from one side but from the both sides. So this is a gamma internal view of a gamma radiation plants. And in most of the gamma radiation plants which are used in India are cobalt 60 based gamma radiation plants. Now this is a schematic representation of a electron beam machine and X-ray generator, because it from the electron beams, high energy electrons, when isolated electrons when falls on a tungsten target, they also emit the X-rays. So electron beam machines can be operated either in a X-ray mode or in the electron beam mode. So you can see that here is a electron gun is here, electron source is there, and these electrons are isolated. And then you have a magnetic field here, scanning magnet is there, and this you get a beam of, and this beam may be of 1 meter. Generally, these horns are 1 meter long and maybe 10 to 15 centimeter in width. So these are the electron beams, and they are all the electron beams are available in the different energies and different powers. Now, this in India, we have as I told you that we have about more than 22 gamma radiation plants, and these plants are all cobalt 60 based plants, and the cobalt 60 is produced in our reactors, in the nuclear power corporation's power reactors, and also in BRC we have a Gurba reactor. This cobalt 60 is produced in those reactors, and then it is marketed by the Board of Radiation and Isotope Technology. And in one gamma radiation plant, it is designed to have an activity of more than about 20,000 kilocurie activity. So you can see that activity levels which are used in these radiation processing plants are very high. So in India, we have around 20, more than I think 22 gamma radiation plants are in operation as on today, and a few are under construction. And in future, depending upon the availability of cobalt 60, more and more gamma radiation plants will be coming up in India. And these gamma radiation plants are used for the sterilization of the medical products, food irradiation, and the irradiation of some allied material. Now that was about the radiation sources and machines. And now let us discuss what happens when the materials are irradiated by radiations. So there are generally three types of effects. One is a biological effect, there are chemical effects, and then there are physical effects. So this radiation can cause, when any material is irradiated using radiations, three types of effects can be seen in those products or those materials. Let us discuss here the biological effect of the radiation. So you see that all the living creatures, they have a DNA. Okay. So when a radiation falls on any biological system, it breaks the bonds. Actually, there are two types of effect. One is called the direct effect, and in the direct effect, it breaks the strand of the DNA. This is one strand, and this is another strand. So in the direct effect, the gamma radiations or the electron beam, they will hit this strand and they will break these strands. This is called the direct effect of the radiation. So they damage the DNA. The indirect effect is that because any biological system will be having the water. So what happens that when the radiation falls on the water, the radiolysis of water takes place. And the radiolysis of water leads to the formation of the free radicals. Free radicals are nothing but they are the molecules or atoms having one unpaired electron, and these species are very reactive, and they are very unstable also, and their lifetime is very small. They in the microsecond or nanosecond, their life is there, and in that short time they damage the DNA. So there are two type of effects. One is the direct effect, by when the gamma radiation breaks the strand of the DNA. The second is the indirect effect, which is because of the production of these free radicals, which damage the, again, DNA bond. So you can see here it is this part of this slide shows that this is the radiolysis of water. You can see there is an excitation of the hydrogen molecules, there is ionization, then there are again many other products like hydrogen with one unpaired electron, then OH, and many other free radicals are formed. You can see here the hydrogen peroxide and hydrogen, and many kinds of the free radicals are produced. And these free radicals are very reactive, and they damage the DNA. They again damage the strands of the DNA. So all the radiations nothing do, but they damage the DNA, and they make the living cells. Actually, the living cells cannot grow or cannot reproduce. So these are the effect of the biological effect of radiation on biological. Now let us discuss the chemical effect. It is there are three types of chemical effect. First is the cross-linking, and these effects are mainly seen in the polymeric materials. You can see that there are three types of when any polymeric material is irradiated, there are three type of processes takes place. One is the cross-linking, then there is a grafting, and then is a degradation. In polymer, in cross-linking of polymers, actually polymer consists of long chain of the molecule. So what happens when the radiation falls on those polymeric material, free radicals are generated, and as I told you that these free radicals are very reactive, the cross-linking of these chains take place. So when the cross-linking takes place, this polymer becomes more, gains more strength. It becomes more mechanically more strength. It can be, then its properties are improved, and it can be used for the various applications. So cross-linking this is the cross-linking. Now the grafting. In the grafting, you have a polymeric material. You irradiate it with radiations, and then you add a monomer to that. So this monomer gets attached to this polymeric chain because of these free radicals. They because of the reaction of the free radicals, and then this process again can be used for the various applications. Degradation is nothing but degradation is the decomposition of the polymeric chain. By a long hydrocarbon, a long polymeric chain, it gets broken into small chain, and then material gets degraded. So all chemical changes, changes in chemical effects, they lead to the changes in physical properties, that is mechanical, their electrical, thermal, magnetic, density, viscosity, and color. All these properties can be changed because of the radiation. Now let us discuss about the absorbed dose, which is a very important factor in important parameter in radiation processing. Absorbed dose is nothing but it is the energy absorbed per unit mass of the material. And this is always, this factor is the main which is used in the processing, and it needs to be always controlled. Dose in a radiation processing application is always needs to be controlled. And here the unit of this dose is rad. 1 rad is equal to 100 X per gram, but SI unit of this absorbed dose is gray. So 1 gray is nothing but 1 joule per kg of the material. If 1 joule of energy is deposited in 1 kg of the material, then we say that the dose delivered or dose absorbed by the material or the product is the 1 gray. And 1 gray is nothing but it is equivalent to the 100 rad. You see that gamma radiation sources, if I have a gamma radiation source, let us say it is having 10,000 curie of the activity, the dose rate will be 10 gray per second. But if we have an electron beam machine, the dose rates can be obtained of the order of 10 to the power 4 to 10 to the power 9 gray per second. So you can see that as compared to the radioisotope based sources, very high dose can be delivered by electron beams. But and as I told you that what is the limitation of the electron beams, because the penetrating power is very small. And if you can see the penetrating power here, this is the dose on the x-axis, and this is the depth of the material, and this is the then dose profile. You can see that this is the dose profile of the electron beam. But if you see the dose profile of X-rays or the gamma rays, it exponentially decreases. So you can see the range of the gamma radiations is much higher. And if you see the range of the electrons, is generally given 0.524 multiplied by the energy of the electrons minus 0.1337, and then divided by the density of that material. So one can calculate the range of the electrons in any material. And if you see that these are the different dose profiles, if you have a 1 MeV electron, you will have the dose profile like this. If you have the 2 MeV, it will be like this. So as the energy of the electron beam increases, the penetration depth also increases, and the dose profile becomes like this. So, but in gamma radiation, we need not to process the material from the both sides, because gamma radiation can penetrate through the thick material. Sometimes we do it just to obtain the uniform dose distribution. But in case of electron beam, since the penetrating power is very limited, the material is irradiated from the both sides. So if we irradiate the material from one side, this is the dose profile. But if we irradiate the material from the another side, the dose profile will be like this. And if you see, the combined dose distribution will be like this. So you get almost the uniform dose distribution across the depth of the or across the thickness of the material. And this uniformity in dose is very important parameter, and it is given as dose ratio is given by maximum dose divided by the minimum dose. And for uniform irradiation, uniform processing, this ratio has to be 1. But generally it varies from 1 to 1.5, because in some applications there is the requirement of uniform dose distribution is not very stringent. Now let's come to the radiation processing applications. What are the difference? So far, I was discussing about the basic methodology or basic techniques, processes involved in the radiation processing. Now, let us see what are the different radiation processing applications which are carried out in industry. Processing or modification of the polymeric materials. This is one of the very important application of, and this utilizes the process property of cross-linking, grafting, and degradation. And some of the applications are wire and cable insulation, tires, rubber tire, or curing curing of the material, surface curing, heat shrinkable packages and films, and polymeric precursor used in ink, coating, and adhesive. So there are many applications of these polymeric materials in industry. Second main application is sterilization of medical products, and it is used to kill the microorganism or maybe bad bacteria or pathogenic bacteria and microorganisms. So this is called sterilization of medical products. Food preservation for killing the microorganism or for the disinfestation or to extend the shelf life of those materials. Then it is environmental remediation. Again, it kills the pathogens like wastewater treatments, sludge irradiation, and flue gas treatments. There are three main environmental application of the radiation processing technology. Surface curing of wood surfaces, glass surfaces, metal surfaces, just to strengthen or to make the surface smooth or to improve the property of the surfaces of the material. And then another important application of radiation processing is the irradiation of gemstones and diamonds. This irradiation causes the coloration of the diamonds and this precious stones, and it enhances the value of those materials. So presently in India, products more than 1,000 crores of rupees they are treated by the radiation processing technology, but this is very small amount. Even there is a large scope for the further enhancement of these processing applications. Now let us see what are the doses, different doses for the different processes. Like we have the sprout inhibition, and it requires around 0.03 to 0.15. So mostly for foods or disinfestation and sprout inhibition, the dose rates are less than 1 kilogram. So actually, based on the doses, there are main three types of category of application. One is the low dose applications, then medium dose applications, which ranges from 1 kilogram to 100 kilogram, and then there are high dose applications. So in low dose applications are mainly processes which require only 1 kilogram of dose. Medium dose applications are a process in which we need to deliver a dose of 1 to 10 kilogram, like the reduction of spoilage microbes in meats and poultry and sea products. It requires dose rate less than 3 kilogram. Then the pathogens reduction in meat, poultry, and seafood. It requires a dose of 3.3 to 7 MeV and so on. And there are high dose rate applications like irradiation of shelf-stable foods. In case of some natural calamity or the food where food needs to be stored for a long time, then that time we radiation irradiated foods are used. Sterilization of the medical products requires 25 kilogram. Curing and coating, as I told you, it requires 20 to 50 kilogram of dose. Cross-linking of polymers, it requires a dose of 50 to 150 kilogram. And then degradation of polymers requires very high dose, 500 to 1000 kilogray, and coloration of diamonds requires a very high dose, that is even more than 2000 kilogray. So these are the different dose labels. Now let us discuss some of the example of the electron beam processing application. So one of the very important application of electron beam is irradiation of wire and cables. You see, you must have seen that industry, different kind of cables are used, even in the railway or in the carrying the, you see, in electrical industry and for the distribution of power, various kinds of cables are used. So these cables, if they are irradiated by the radiation, their strength, their strength improves, their mechanical properties are improved, and they can even be used at the higher temperature. So by irradiation of the radiation, mainly by electron beams, their properties are significantly enhanced, are improved, and then these can be used for a very long time. Their life is also increased, and for this we generally this dose delivered in such application is 50 to 150 kV. You can see here, yes, electron beam horn here, from where the electron beam comes, and these are the wires, cables being irradiated. Here you can see. So this is one of the very important and most commonly carried out application of electron beams in industry. In India also, there are around 14 to 15 electron beam machines which are being used in Indian industry for irradiation of the cables. Now it is a mandatory to use a electron beam processed cable in industry, like you think a railway or any electrical industry or any automobile industry. Everywhere electron beam processed cables are used. In addition to these cables, there are very plastic and polymeric materials. You can see that these are plastic caps, and these are O-rings here, the nylon rubber liner. Then there are some pipes here, electrical seats, and many other. And you can see the tires of rubber tires which are used. So all these are radiation processed to increase their property and to increase their life, and they can then also be used in a very higher temperature and higher pressure, or in a more harsh environment. So basically it is just improving the properties of the materials or polymers so that they can be used for a long time, their life increases, and their properties are also increased. Now another example of radiation processing is the radiation process hydrogel for wound processing. This is a process in which a polyvinyl alcohol, a mixture of polyvinyl alcohol and a natural polysaccharide like agar and a distilled water, they are mixed, they are heated, and this solution is then filled in some trays, and then it is irradiated either using by electron beam or by the gamma radiation, and a dose of 25 kilogray is required for this process. And in this process, this process is again based on the cross linking of the polymers, because this is the polymers here. So it is a very simple process, and these kind of hydrogels, they have the applications in various they are useful for treating the burns or the leprosy patients, or the diabetic ulcer, animal bites, and most other external wounds. And this technology was developed by BRC, and this technology was transferred to a four different private companies for the bulk commercial production of these hydrogel. Now there are using the radiation technology, one can develop some new materials. And in recently, my colleagues have developed super absorbent cottons and polyurethane PU sponge. And these materials were developed using radiation technology. Now, and here they have, when you irradiate this material, you can just consider that you take a cotton, simple cotton, which is available from the medical stores. It is mixed in a polymer like which has a long chain monomer like acrylate plus ethanol plus water. And then this cotton material, that this is cotton gauzes, they are soaked in this solution, and under that soaked condition they are irradiated using the electron beam or the gamma radiation by delivering a dose of 10 kilogray. So by doing so, their surface morphology is changed, and its surface is functionalized in such a way that this cotton becomes a super hydrophobic and super hydrophilic. Means it absorbs the oil, it absorbs the organic materials, and it repels the water. And the same, using the same process, the PU sponge, which is just waste. There is a lot of PU sponge which is waste in the industry. That waste can be also treated by radiation and made a useful product. And we have developed these two products, this super absorbent cotton as well as the super absorbent PU sponge using the radiation technology. And these two technologies we have recently transferred to two different private companies for bulk production of this material. And these two materials can be used for separating the oil or oily substance. They are reusable, they can be used at room temperature, they are eco-friendly, they are cost effective, and physically and chemically they are robust, and they can also be used at high temperature. So what I want to tell you, that using the radiation technology we can develop different kind of material for different applications. Now here you can see that which is called a PTFE, which is just nothing but it is a Teflon. A Teflon is there is a lot of Teflon after Teflon scrap is generated in industry, and this Teflon is just a waste, and this is a non-biodegradable material. So in order to use this material, if it is irradiated using radiations by electron beam with a dose of 500 to 100 kilogray dose, then this Teflon becomes a powder. It becomes of the powder. You can say that the average particle size is 7.2 2 microns. So it becomes a very powder. Otherwise, this material is it cannot be used in any other for any other application. But using radiation, it can be powdered, and then that powder can be used for the various applications. There is no other way to grind or to make the powder from a Teflon scrap. It is only the radiation technology which degrades this polymeric material, and we obtain the very fine powder, and that fine powder is used for the various applications. Now again, another example of radiation processing is the radiation processing of diamonds and precious stones. Now if you see the precious stones or diamond, they are generally colorless. They do not have good colors. They are really transparent. But if you irradiate them using radiation, they become the colorful. So different colors can be generated, can be produced in these diamonds, and the value of these diamonds now it increased by many fold. So now they become very highly commercial. Their commercial value goes how. So you can see here, these are all unirradiated diamonds here, like this. But after the irradiation, they become all, some becomes blue, some becomes green, some become pink, like depending upon the impurities in those diamonds and the dose delivered. So this is a very commonly carried out process, application of radiation technology in many industry, and in India also we have been regularly doing this kind of irradiation of diamond and precious stones using electron beam. Now let us come to the sterilization of medical products. I think Dr. Ram Murthy in his talk had already covered this, but I just briefly tell you that the gamma radiations are commonly used for the sterilization of this medical products, and it is only the cobalt 60 source, and different medical this thing, seizures and cottons and sutures and various kind of medical products, even this gloves, they have to be sterilized before they are used. And as I told you that sterilization using gamma radiations have a lot of advantages, and this process is you can see that in all over the world, more than 50% of the medical equipments are processed or sterilized by the gamma radiation. Here now people are also using its electron beams for the sterilization of medical plants, and in India also very soon a plant is electron beam machine of 10 MeV will be commissioned in Bangalore for the processing of the medical products. Otherwise, most of the sterilization of medical products is carried out in gamma irradiation plants. Now let us come to the food. Food again, Dr. A.K. Sharma might have told you that there is a lot of spoilage and there is a loss of food in India because of spoilage and because of their many kind of pests and diseases, and a lot of food is wasted not only in India but all over the world. And then radiations are used for processing of this agriculture or this food. You can see here they have the multiple uses. You can see here that there are onion, potato, garlic. The radiation is used to inhibit the sprouting of onion or potato and garlic. Then there are cereals, pulses, and dry fruits. They are used, radiations are used to disinfestation, insect disinfestation. Then these are the meat products. They are used, radiation are used to extend their half-lives. Then there are spices for hygienization or disinfestation. Then phytosanitary treatment of mangoes. So radiations are used for the different irradiation of different agriculture or different food products for the different purposes. In some cases it is just to inhibit the sprouting, in some cases it is disinfestation, in some cases it is the extension of some half-life, in some cases is a delay in ripening or phytosanitary treatment. You can see that this is the irradiated onions and potato, while this is unirradiated. So you can see that irradiated potatoes, there is no sprouting. In case of cereals also, you can see that this is unirradiated, this is irradiated. This mangoes, as I told you, they are also radiations are used for the phytosanitary treatment of mangoes, means that is for the killing of pests or insect of insect of any native country. If you have to, for example, if we have to export the mango to the United States, unless they are radiation treated, we cannot be. They cannot be exported to USA. So United States only accept the irradiated mangoes or irradiated products from other countries. They don't want that their country, some insects or some pests should be migrated from one country to another country and then uh, use there. So in the similarly, the species are used for disinfestation or for the reduction of the microbial load or hygienization. You can see these are the unirradiated species where this is irradiated species. And again, some other non food products like herbal and Ayurvedic preparation, cattle feed, dog feed, packaging material, they are also used for. They are also used. Radiation are also used for processing of these materials. Now, electron beams are also used for the treatment of the wastewater, because wastewater contains a lot of pathogens or bacteria or a lot of chemicals which are not biodegradable. So if you see that in industrial effluents are generally, they contain a lot of chemicals, and these chemicals are not biodegradable. So in case of to enhance their biodegradability, they are irradiated by radiations, by electron beams. And you can see here the wastewater here, which is being irradiated using an electron beam. So this is the horn of a electron beam, and this is a layer of a thin sheet of the water, which is why it is a thin sheet here, because the electrons can penetrate only a limited thickness of the water. So they in this is the arrangement how the water is treated using the electron beam. And likewise, there is a dry sludge. In addition to the liquid sludge or liquid effluents, dry sludge is also irradiated using the radiations. And a dose of 10 kilogray is usually used for the irradiation of the sludge, because sludge also will contain a lot of pathogens and pathogenic materials. So in order to hygienize the dry sludge, this technology is also used. And you can see that this is a gamma radiation plant for hygienization of municipal dry sewage sludge. And BRC has set up this plant in collaboration with the Ahmedabad Municipal Corporation. And it is a cobalt 60 based plant. And you can see here, this is the conventional way of treatment of this dry sludge. And when it is treated and this is dried, after the drying process, this sludge is crushed into a small particle or in the small powder form, and then this powder is packed in some cardboard containers or some aluminum containers, and then these containers are irradiated using the radiation source. And then after it is irradiated, it becomes almost it is hygienized, it is becomes pathogen free, and then this treated sludge can be used as a fertilizer for various it can be used as a fertilizer. You can see here the plants which are grown using this fertilizer here. And this gamma irradiation plant which we have set up in Ahmedabad, its total cost is 30 crore rupees. and it is using about 1.5 megacurie activity of cobalt 60 source, and the capacity of this plant is around 100 tons per day. And we are now one more plant like this is in under construction in Indore, and one more plant is likely to come in Pune. Then the electron beams are also used for the treatment of the flue gases. You can see that in the coal power plants, or where the oil is burned in the oil fired fired electric plants. Flue gases are generated. A lot of flue gases are generated. Flue gases, my main components, main culprit or main component of the flue gases which cause a lot of environmental problems are NOx or SOx. We call it NOx, nitrogen oxide or nitrous oxide, and like sulfur dioxide. So these are called the NOx or SOx gases, and these gases are very toxic, and these toxic gases leads to the acid rain. If they are leaked or if they are released in the atmosphere, they leads to the acid rain, which is a really very not a good environmental situation. So here what is done here, you can see that now electron beams are used for treatment of the flue gases. And you can see that this is a one electric power plant in Japan, Chubu electric power plants. And you can see that there are the exhaust gases are coming through these pipes, and then they are sent inside this building. And inside this building, there are electron beams are there. So what is done that in this flue gas, ammonia is also mixed. Ammonia, this is the exhaust pipe of this plant, and inside there here will be a 3-4 electron beam accelerator will be there. So in this exhaust pipe, ammonia is mixed, and water vapors are also injected and then processed with the electron beam. Now what happens that as soon as these gases or comes in contact with the electrons, the hydrolysis of the water or of those gases takes place, and a lot of reactions take place. And after these reactions, the ammonium sulfate or the ammonium nitrate are produced, and which can be separated, which are the particulates material, and which can be finally separated from this exhaust line, and then this can be used as a fertilizer. So this technology is being used in Japan and Poland and China. This technology is quite popular. Maybe in future our country may also have such such technology. Now you can see that how the NOx and SOx gases are converted into useful product, that is ammonium nitrate and ammonium sulfate, and these are then used as a fertilizer. So this is a byproduct. So here you can see that the waste is being converted into a useful product using radiation technology, using the electron beam processing technology. Now, in summary, I would like to say that the radiation technology using gamma rays or electron beam for different industrial application is well established. All these technique, whatever I told you, they are all well established technique. They are readily available, and this technology has a very good scope for expansion in India. The reliability of industrial operations has been proved for sustained utilization of this technology. Electron beam machines are required for are the main electron beam, and the cobalt 60 plants are the main thing which are required for this thing. And if you see that electron beam in Kharghar, we have an electron beam center where we are producing an electron beam of energy 10 MeV and 3 MeV. We have indigenously developed this oscillator, and maybe now this technology is now ready for transfer to any private industry who will be producing these oscillator of different energy, and then they will be available for the different applications in India. In BRC, we have one Russian-made oscillator, which is called IULU 6, and it is located at BRIT complex and Vasi. And this electron beam is mainly used as a technology demonstration center, where whatever technology is being used in India today, they have been all developed and demonstrated in this oscillator. Thus, revenue earned worldwide from radiation processing application is more than the revenue generated from the electricity produced by the nuclear reactor. Okay, you can see that even the revenue which is generated by the by radiation processing technology or industrial application of radioisotopes, the revenue is more in case of the industrial application. India contributes only a very small fraction of the revenue generated worldwide, and there is a large scope of expansion of this technology in India. There are more than this figure is wrong. Actually, this figure should be there are more than 1,500 electron beam oscillator which are being used all over the world for the different application. In India, there are about 23 oscillators that are being used for the radiation processing application. A few private industry are using these machines mainly for cross-linking of wires, cable insulation, and for heat sinkable applications. So with this, this was the last slide, and thank you very much. And before I conclude this talk, I would like to tell you about the assignments. Those who are interested, for them there is an assignment here. This was a module of 5 lectures. First lectures was radiation applications in industry. Sorry, radio tracer applications in industry. This was the first lectures, and there are 4 questions here. While you are attempting these assignments, please be very brief and just write in bullet points. In a very answer should not be very descriptive. Like discuss what is the principle of the radio tracer techniques and properties of ideal radio tracer. Very simple questions. Discuss the criteria of selection of radio tracer for and why industry prefer to use the radio tracer over conventional tracer. This is also all from you will get this material all from my presentation. It will all discuss why the bromine 82 is the most useful use radio tracer in the industry. And here this is a small numerical here which says that estimate the dead volume inside any system using residence time distribution by measuring the residence time distribution using radio tracer. And here what is done, basically you have to compare the theoretical and experimentally measure residence time and then estimate the dead volume. All this is radio tracers in hydrology. There are some 3 questions here. Explain the radio tracer dilution principle of flow rate measurement. Just draw the diagram and just give the equations, and no need for the to be very descriptive. Briefly discuss the radio tracer methodology for transport investigation in ports. What is the methodology? How this application is carried out in ports, what for it is carried out, and how it is carried out, that you can discuss. How radio tracer are used for groundwater velocity measurement. This is also you can discuss briefly. Then in lecture 3, application of environmental isotope tracer techniques in hydrology. Yes, discuss the principle of environmental isotope techniques used in hydrology. What is a global meteoritic mean water line? GML, GMWL line. So please discuss this, and it was discussed in detail during my presentation. How to estimate the recharge attitude of a spring? This is also a very simple question. What is the principle of groundwater dating, and what are the common isotopes used for groundwater dating? So this is all these are very simple questions, and most of them are from I have already discussed these things. Field source application, fourth lecture. There are again 3 small questions. And in the fourth lecture, this is a radiation processing application. How the radiation affect the materials and are utilized to improve the quality of the material, discussed briefly. I discussed it in this lecture. Mention different radiation used in material processing application with their specific advantages and disadvantages. List the radiation doses required for degradation of Teflon, wastewater treatment, polymer cross-linking, food irradiation, and sterilization of medical process. Just write the dose rate, what doses are used. So these are very simple assignments. And with this, I conclude this lecture series, which was of 5 lectures. And I'm thankful for your patience listening, and I'm thankful to Dr. Tomar also, who gave me an opportunity to deliver this